Thank you, Claudia. Good morning and welcome to the Council of Governors Representation Committee meeting, Monday the 6th of January 2025. I'm Rebecca Metso and I'm the lead governor of LPFT. I would like to welcome all governors and wish everybody, governors and staff, a happy new year, and in particular to welcome Alice Barton, our new Deputy Lead Governor, to her role as Deputy Lead Governor. I'm sure she'll enjoy it. I did when I was. Do we have any extra apologies for absence that people are aware of?
In terms of the apologies, Bex, I've noted them. I can include them in the minutes if you're happy to do so.
That's fine. Thank you very much for that. Any alterations to declarations of interest? No, nothing coming forward. If anybody has any alterations in between meetings, they can always contact Sam in the office and Sam will sort that out for you. Next, I draw your attention to the draft minutes of our last Council of Governors representation meeting on the 7th of October 2024. Seems a long time ago. Do we have any queries, questions for with regard to those minutes, or are we happy to make them a true record of and be decided? If you can put a yes in the chat, that would be helpful. If you have any questions, a Q or a C for comment as usual. I'll just repeat that. So I'd like a yes from governors or a no, and a Q for a question or a C for comment. That looks fine to me. Thank you very much. Moving on to the schedule of... Was that a question? Bear with me. I'm trying to manage the chat as well. Thank you very much, Colin, for that. Moving on to the schedule of actions from that meeting, I'd like to invite Joe Walker to speak to this meeting, please. Is Joe with us?
Yeah, I am. Hi, Bex. So Joe Walker, Head of Communications and Participation. Apologies, I hadn't managed to do the update before the meeting, but I'm still struggling to find the contact for the atrium units. So it's an ongoing issue in terms of me trying to chase that contact. So I can't sign it off just yet, but I am actively chasing it.
Thank you very much for that. And thank you for reminding me that if people are invited to speak with a question, if they can say who they are and where they represent with regard to being governor, i.e. that you might be the public governor for North Kesteven, etc. Thank you for that. And over to Sam for schedule of actions, please.
Hello everybody, it's the Governor Membership Officer Samantha Swindell here. We've got two in progress on the schedule after Joe's, which is they're moving along quite nicely, that are still in progress. So our Trust Mental Health Liaison working groups have been contacted, and me and Bex will be visiting those online and trying to get membership and governors through a presentation or verbal presentation for that in February. And then the last one that is in progress before all of the ones that are acted on is the Lincolnshire Rural Support Network contact. So they have actually been contacted to try and recruit more males to the membership and to try and get them interested in being governors as well. So that is in progress Even though they've been contacted, we still need to make those headways and leadways to getting into those groups. And then we had one from a governor that has resigned on here, but we're still looking for some contact to be made to the REACH network, which is the Race, Ethnicity and Cultural Heritage. There was a suggestion from the previous Governor Allen for us to do some promotion work in relation to that particular network. So if there is any governors that are currently a part of that network that could pick that action up, we would appreciate that. I don't know whether to open that up, Bex, to the governors now, just to see if there is anybody.
Have we got any questions or any comments with regard to that action, please? Perhaps the governors can put their thinking caps on and forward any thoughts, comments, etc. to Sam in due course. That would be really helpful because we all dip into a variety of life and have a variety of interests. So hopefully we can look into that further.
And also what we can do as well, Bex, is we could just link in with Simrad Hodson, which is the equality lead within the trust, and see if we can get some contacts through that. So yeah, that would be another way to go.
That's great. Thank you very much for that. So right now we're going to have a change to your agenda as Jo Walker has to leave us.
I have a question, please, about the actions. Sorry.
Yes, please go ahead.
An overarching question about the actions.
If you can introduce yourself first, please.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Cara Hagan, Public Governor for North Kesteven. On what would be point 8 on the schedule of actions, I just wondered, we had a working party to revise the membership leaflet, Sam, and I just wondered, has there been any progress on that?
In terms of the updates that were suggested, they were taken away as notes and they will be implemented, but we haven't had any changes as yet. So it's still got to go through the process of getting that changed. There was quite a lot of discussion points at that working group, wasn't there, Carol? So it's just sort of taking them in priority order, I think. And I know that Lucy will be working on those as she took the notes of the meeting. Does anything specific you want to ask about in relation to that, feel free, but generally speaking.
It's just in the point when it says all governors to ensure they have membership leaflets, we're still using the current leaflets then?
Yeah, we are, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that, Carol. So bringing Jo Walker back in now. She has to leave our meeting earlier today than expected and won't be able to speak to us at the end, towards the end of our meeting. So if I can bring her in to discuss the Better Together and update us there, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, and apologies for messing the agenda around. That post-Christmas leave diary management issue. So Better Together, so we are planning for our next issue that is due to go out first couple of weeks of February is a digital issue. The paper is read in terms of where we've got to in terms of content planning at the moment. We're hoping to have obviously launched some of the dementia strategy work by then, but that's still going through some sign-off, so there's a bit of a question mark on there. But just open up in terms of if any governors have any content that they wish to be included or any other ideas in terms of the next digital issue, really.
Have we got any questions, comments from the paper? With Sam Swindell.
It was just to say, just to remind that we have got one thing that was brought up at the last meeting on the One Governor's Experience item that we've brought forward for the next edition, just to do a bit of a sort of recap on that. So that was an idea that came in. Just thought I'd add that.
Yeah, Sam, I wasn't at that last meeting. Is that something? Can you remind me what that is? Because I don't. Holly came to the last meeting, but she's gone on a maternity leave. So can you remind me what that is about?
Bex was the one that suggested it, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Bex, it was to do with, so every time we have a membership committee, a representation committee, we do a One Governor's Experience item, Joe, where one of the governors is selected to speak about their experience as a governor. And what the idea was to reflect that in the edition as a bit of a recap.
Oh yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, so do like a summarised version, a bit like a spotlight on a different governor. Yeah, that's fine. Because we record this meeting, don't we? So I can take that from this meeting and do a summary to share around who approve with whoever it is each time.
Yeah,
I'll make a note of that.
We don't have it today, but we can use one as a back one if that's possible.
Yeah, I can go back to a previous recording.
Just thought it's a nice thing to do because it sort of shows the different governors and the different ways they've come to being a governor and how they've experienced being a governor.
Yeah, no problem. And I've just seen that Karen's put in the chat about Alice's appointment as Deputy Lead Governor. So yes, I'll include that as well, Karen.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still getting over my cold. That's the thing about going out into public, you end up with a cold. Right, so thank you for that, Joe, and thank you for being with us this morning. So moving on to items 2, Governor by-election update. Sam, what have you got for us?
Okay, so with the governor by-election update, we have in the lead up to Christmas held a by-election to try and cover off all of our vacant seats, which there were many. And today I just wanted to let the committee know that basically, subject to verification checks on candidates, we will have filled our public city of Lincoln, all our service user seats, one general carer seat, one adult inpatient staff and one adult community. So it has been a very challenging time, and we've worked very hard to get people in, and we've worked with trust managers as well to do that, but it seems to have been very fruitful, and we are very pleased to announce that, particularly about our service user people that have stood, which are connected to mainly our patient partners, although we do have a patient governor who is coming on board that isn't a patient partner. So we're really pleased to update that we've got that. And although it's subject to verification checks, we are going to be finalising that in the next week. And then just for the committee to note that the vacancies that will be carried over into the summer elections will be the Public Borough of Boston seat, Public Rest of England, and the remaining staff adult community seat. And the committee will receive a report next time in March, just in terms of our election schedule plans for that election, and we'll have the opportunity to input into the recruitment and retention pointers for that. They'll be asked to approve that report at the next meeting. So that's just pretty much an update on our by-election, Bex, if that's okay.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Carol Hagan to make a comment.
Thank you, Bex. Carol Hagan, North Kesteven Governor. I think to advertise the post of Governor for the rest of England sounds quite scary, doesn't it? If you've not been involved in the governors before. And I wondered whether that is a post that maybe should be attached as an extra responsibility to another governor's post. I can't see how somebody could come into the Board of Governors fresh and new to take on the very scary title of Governor for the rest of England. I don't know. It seems to me I know that's not how it is, but it does seem a very scary title, and I've often wondered whether it should be attached as an additional responsibility to another governor's post. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Karen has her hand up. I know Di Bailey wants to come in with a comment and question, but Karen, are you coming in to answer that?
Well, I've got a response, Bets, but perhaps Di would like to come in first. I'm happy to wait and see what Di has to say and ask.
Right, thank you for that.
Sorry, Bex, mine is a different point actually, so I'm happy for Karen to take this one.
Okay,
Sorry,
we'll go with Karen, and then we'll come to you afterwards, Di. Thank you.
Thanks, Bex. So I'm Karen Scott, Trust Secretary. It is a very valid point, Carol, that you make, and it seems an inordinate geography to expect somebody to actually be effectively representing. The reason that we can't necessarily bolt it on or link it to another governor's seat is because in our constitution it sits as a separate constituency. So and the very reason that we went with the rest of England was at a time when the trust actually had established services out with Lincolnshire, and so in order to ensure that it was truly representative of its membership and staff in those areas outside of Lincolnshire, that was when that constituency was established. And I think it currently still plays true to an extent, and it covers that potential to be the case. I think there's an awful lot of work that if we are able to ever secure somebody within that constituency, I think there's an awful lot of work needs to be done in terms of promotion of it and informing potentially interested candidates in what they need to do. In the outset, we did more in the more recent past, we did have somebody that sat in that seat, and it has to be acknowledged that they did find it quite difficult. It was one of the reasons that they felt that they couldn't necessarily do it justice. So I think it does need some further consideration, Carol, but I think there are some technical reasons why we do need to leave it, and it wouldn't necessarily automatically link easily with another constituency for the reasons I've cited. We also have members of the trust, including those members on our own board of directors who actually sit within that constituency, the rest of England. So we'd have to be extremely careful and give it some real consideration if we were thinking about making any changes to that, because it could have some unwanted consequences. But I'm more than happy to follow this up with Sam outside of the meeting and have further conversations about it, Carol, because your point is very valid.
Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Karen. On this specific point, I'm sorry not to come to you quite this moment, but Kevin Lockyer would like to make a comment on this specific point.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, it's just to build on Karen's point slightly and say perhaps that it's the title of the role that is the issue, because it's not representing the whole of the rest of England. It's only representing those parts of England in which LPFT provides services, which is not, the Isles of Scilly or whatever. So and that kind of scopes it slightly differently. So we might, Karen, have a think about how we, Constitution notwithstanding, about kind of how we label that particular role. Thanks, Bex.
Thank you very much for that. And moving on to Di Bailey, who has a comment and question.
Thanks, Bex. Di Bailey, one of the non-exec directors. I just wanted to go back to Sam's point, really, and the good news about filling the service user governor positions. I think that's really positive. Just wanted to echo that. Yeah. And I guess I just wanted to understand, because I know we've been doing a lot of work through our Every Voice group with the appointment of the Every Voice Guardian, and there's been a lot of work around that sort of service user patient participation piece. And I just wondered, is this paying off in terms of, you know, some of these seats being taken up as governors, whether there's any link there that we can see?
Yeah, so definitely it is paying off. Absolutely. One of the things I was reflecting on this morning, Di, is that if you compare our successes between our service user seats and our carer seats, our Every Voice Guardian is the one that brought them through, you know, and to strengthen that same link as a gatekeeper with the carers is what we need to do at the next point, where we get the option to bring more people in. We have to support the service users in a very different way, current service users, particularly when they're inpatients. And so the work of Lou Bannister and myself is obviously I've got that election experience, but she's got that clinical side that will enable them to be nursed within the role, because that is the other important thing that we need to be able to do, and also for them to be a significant amount of translation in terms of our papers as well, which is coming through as something we need to definitely have a plan, so that at meetings they feel comfortable and that they can get to meetings. So it's really new for us. We have in the past actually recruited patients that have been more so in recovery, so we are excited. It is exciting times for us to actually have this come into play, should we say. Does that answer your question, Di? Or?
It does, and I think it's really important to acknowledge, Sam, the work that is going on to make this happen. You know, all the things that you've said are really important, and I'm really pleased that we are doing it. And I think if we can extend this model to encourage carer participation in our governors, you know, all for it, really. I think it's, you know, we need to learn from one another, don't we, about how to make this work. And I think that's, you know, a step towards real inclusivity. So I'm really heartened by all of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Di. Thank you again, Sam. Bringing forward, Debbie Abrams has a question.
I think between Kevin and others, it's been answered. It was about the Constitution and about what flexibility we've got with regards to what the actual title, the role of the post is. So it's already been said, we'll give some consideration to that, Bex, and I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. Couple of comments from the chat. Joe Walker, it's something we actively promoting in the Council of Lived and Learnt Experience and all the reference groups across the Trust. And from Karen Scott, want to provide assurance that all of the necessary safeguards have been taken into consideration for all parties. So thank you for those comments. So with that, we will move on to the Governor and Membership Delivery Plans, Sam.
Thanks, Bex. So the Governor and Membership Delivery Plan, as I always say at every meeting, is the plans that are coming off the Governor and Membership Strategy 2022 to 2027. And the purpose of the report is to just advise the committee of the actions on the Governor Membership Plan, and the actions that are required of governors is for them to consider the progress and the decisions on and to make any further decisions on the actions that are required. And I don't intend to go through the whole report because it is quite lengthy. However, I have picked out some areas that I can go through and talk about in terms of some updates. So in terms of page 5, we are looking out for some ideas and innovations welcome from governors in relation to recruiting and engaging more younger people and carers and members as members and governors. on the last section of this, we did actually do a lot of work in relation to recruiting more males to the membership, which as part of the schedule of actions and as part of this plan, you can read what we've done in relation to that. But I think just to have a bit more of a discussion about how we get more carer members maybe this time for this meeting, and also recruiting the younger side of membership. So could I open that up for discussion before I move on to any of the other items, Bex?
Yeah. How about this then? Has anybody got any comments or ideas that could be usefully followed up through the plan to actually bring on board more carer governors? A comment, Carol Hagan, please.
Hello, Carol Hagan, Public Governor for North West Stephen. I think sort of joining the dots, I think we do need to update membership leaflet details and make them more attractive for now that it's 2025 and digital, etc., etc., etc. But it also ties in with an idea. You know, I had a couple of meetings ago about having a series of road shows across the county. You know, it all goes with the broader picture, doesn't it, of advertising what LPFT is and who it's for and who runs it and its scope, and to encourage carer governors. One would think that carers would be very aware of LPFT's work, and how is it, you know, that we are not engaging them, or not enough of them. And so I still think that idea of having a series of roadshows, but I did read in the minutes, it comes back to me that something has been discussed along those lines, is what's needed. And also at every conference, at every opportunity when LPFT is presenting to the public, there should always be that stand to encourage membership. And it's a shame we lost Alan, because he's not a governor anymore, is he? But he had some very good ideas about engaging men. And, you know, perhaps we need to be asking the men, how do we engage men?
Thank you for that, Carol. Coming in on that, then we have Pete Burnett coming in with a comment. One of our male governors. Yeah, your microphone's still switched off, Pete.
Apologies. First part of the new year, I think. So hi, I'm Pete Burnett. Partner, governor from the Lincolnshire Integrated Care Board. So I think with this on attracting more governors, if we've got groups of carers, just say we've got groups of carers that we know of in Lincolnshire, it's probably a good thing to engage with them and see what it would take for them to want to be a governor, and what they're kind of, because obviously if you've got a caring role, that's going to take up a large proportion of your time, and understand what it would take for them to want to be a governor and have the ability to be a governor would be useful to do. Because obviously I can come up with some ideas, but I'm not a carer, so so in that sense, so it would be based on the best guess rather than actually understand what it would take for them. So I think actually actively kind of targeting some carers groups or carers that we already know of, and find out, okay, what would it take from you? How can we make this possible? So there'll probably stuff about the time of the day, how they access that kind of stuff. Just might make it more problematic. So that would just be my view on this.
Thank you for that, Peter. Yes, I can certainly see that from work I've done with Sleaford Dementia Support in the past, and the time that carers have for over and above what they do with their loved ones being quite difficult. So yeah, but hopefully that will change. Joe, you've got a comment to make, Joe Walker? Are you there, Joe?
Yeah, sorry, I'm here. I was waiting for a video to pop up. Hi again, Joe Walker, Head of Communications and Participation. So I presume that we've engaged with the Carers Council internally, because obviously they are a really good group in terms of finding out what the barriers might be, particularly. But the other way in as well is obviously there's a number of carers leads across a lot of our services now that can help promote that. Now, a lot of them are in inpatient services, and I would suspect probably when somebody is in an inpatient service, they're probably not in the mindset of then going on to thinking about being a governor, but they do pull together carers packs. So it could be that it's as simple as getting the leaflet in the carers packs. And so when they can come, when they've got the headspace, they can kind of have a look at that in retrospect.
Yeah, I think personally that we need to even consider people that have been a carer, because they have a wealth of knowledge and experience, and belonging to sort of community groups can actually show that somebody has been a carer. Email has gone through as a test to one of the volunteer centres to put out through their groups, so we can see if that has any joy, and if it does, then we might follow it up in a month or two's time with looking at carers groups getting an email through, or some information through the volunteer centres to the groups. Bringing on Sam Swindell has a comment to make.
Yeah, no, thank you everybody for all your comments. The carers packs is a good way to go, Joe. Actually, I've wrote that one down for getting into into that clientele, if you like. I think one of the things that we learned from the election this time was that all of our internal drivers of the carer groups, etc., we targeted with comms, but that's as far as it got. So we kind of sort of boarded the plane, got on the plane, but didn't take flight. And I think if we did a more extensive plan, which kind of gets back to, so Carol's suggestion about doing road shows is very public, whereas Pete's suggestion is get into the groups. I have to say, based on the evidence that comes back from our involvement engagement teams, it's often better to get into groups and go and do presentations to that clientele to get them on board, to personalise the role with those people, and also to have those conversations about their level of commitment, because the level of commitment is needed for retention. And so we've got a number of ideas that we could do, but I think in terms of actually targeting carers, we do need to get those gatekeepers on board so that they're a sort of a throughput, a constant automatic throughput to when we've always got elections coming up, etc. And it's building those relationships with those gatekeepers, I think, which is where we got so far in this election, and then we didn't get any further. So that might be an extension of a plan to do that for next time. But thank you everybody for your comments, and not forgetting it's carers of patients within our services within the past 5 years as well. So we could open up our reach to the public, for instance, but be quite confusing in the sense that, yes, they may be carers, but they're not caring for patients within our services. So we need to be particularly focused, I think, in terms of how we go about it. But it's good to have those discussions because it is a challenge, it is a barrier, and we didn't get as far as I would have liked to have got in our last election. So yeah, thanks everybody for your comments on that. Is there anything else, Bex? Is anybody else?
We've just got one final question from Colin Matthews, please. Can you put your camera and microphone on, Colin, please?
Hold on. There you go. I wonder if we could have a what's in it for me or what's in it for us where the carer represents more than themselves, but actually represents the person they're caring for, so that we understand the benefits to the carer or the carer governor of being the carer governor. Because at the moment, I understand, and you're making a very good case, LPFT needs more governors, and we're going to do this, and they're going to be representing the rest of the world where LPS has a presence. But we haven't heard anything about how they will influence and shape LPFT, what difference being a governor can make for their representative body. Now, I might have completely missed it, but I'm sitting here thinking, I don't have much of a voice to bring about change within the governor routine. I'm here representing a different group, and I've been asked to represent that group and attend meetings. But as I say, it'd be really helpful if we could reconsider what's in it for you as a potential governor, and how you can shape and change LPFT for the better, and how that voice will be heard at governor level, and how that voice will then be implemented through practice. So that's, it's difficult to express that, but basically there is no benefit in being a governor, even if you have a massive situation where you're deeply depressed because stuff is going on around you and you don't know how to change it. Being a governor doesn't give you a voice to make change. So could we produce a what's in it for us as part of the carer pack? All right, thanks.
Yeah, just a message from Karen. The strap line, what's in it for me, is an excellent one. I think alongside information on our website already that says about the benefits of membership and the benefits of being a governor. I believe Sam wanted to come in on that.
Yeah, thanks, Bex. No, absolutely. Website, every form of way we can actually get those benefits out. And I think it goes in line with what Carol was saying about the updates on the leaflet as well. Because one of the discussion points was having potentially different leaflet for different clientele. So, it's kind of having those general prescriptive benefits, but then having and working more creatively on the benefits for carers and what's in it for them. So it was just to add, and support those conversations.
Just coming in on that, carers do tend to have a raft of leaflets shoved in their way from quite a lot of different directions, and reading a raft of leaflets isn't always easy for carers.
No, I do have a tendency to agree with you, Bex, and I don't think they're very helpful for most people either. And it is some feedback that we have got, in terms of it is about having those conversations. It is about building those relationships, and it's just not something that a leaflet in itself does. And so the leaflet, it needs to be tailored, but not the only means of building those connections with people, to teaching them, if you like, about what a governor is and what the benefits are. So I do agree with you, Bex. I do agree with you.
Thank you for that. Right. I think we should be perhaps moving on, and we move on now to our membership statistics, and that, I believe, is Sam again, please.
Sorry, Bex, I was just checking through the governor and membership work plan to see if I had noted anything else. I think most of the things have been covered, so unless there's any questions on any of the other items, I'm happy to move on.
Right. Thank you very much.
So, membership statistics then. We started producing the membership statistics on the Council of Governors representation meeting last time to show you what the statistics are across the constituencies. One of the suggestions was to actually put some analysis in here based on a comparative basis from last time. So the governors are provided with an overview of the stats, but they're also provided with highlighted areas, which are in relation to a key at the back in terms of our priority recruitment areas discussed at the October meeting. And it does share that we are noting by a plus sign, numbers gained this quarter despite overall losses, and then by a minus sign, numbers lost this quarter despite overall gains. We've also got a standstill point of 0 as well on some of those things. So if we could ask the governors to discuss the current membership figures and receive the report, just mainly focusing, I think, on those green areas. If governors want to ask me any questions, and just for me to quickly note, the plus 39 on male membership based on our ideas and suggestions from the last committee seems to have improved the figure. Not to mention how many females were then signed up below. But anyway, 39 plus on males is a real good result for a quarter, generally speaking. But again, we've got the carers class there and the younger peoples, which has just been raised from the membership plan in terms of how we continue to recruit those which are down in a negative from last time, as well as your Borough of Boston and your South Holland constituencies, which seem to be at a standstill. Patient-wise, we've recruited based on the back of the election, so that's good. So yeah, over to the committee to ask me any questions or make any suggestions. That's okay, Bex.
Thank you. Do we have anybody with any questions or comments to make on the statistics report? I take that as a no then. Thank you very much. And the next paper is the review of membership. Sam.
Thank you, Bex. So it's me again, but review of the trust membership. So the purpose of this report is to provide the governors with an update on the current issues surrounding our disengaged membership and the necessary action that we feel need to be taken as a department and as governors for this committee to decide. For them to consider, discuss and approve the proposals as set out in the report. I should take the paper as read, but just to go roughly through summarising what the paper structure is, you know, we've set out the current issue in terms of our disengaged membership. So when we say disengage, we mean we've got no communication with them whatsoever, whether it be them voting or not voting, as I should say, or not even contacting us to let us know that their details are still relevant, correct, and that we have consent. So our current issue is that we have that issue, and that has stemmed from a previous committee decision based on our staff figures and fluctuations. We go on to in the report to explain what we've done already in terms of our stoppage on those fluctuations of staff and automatically signing up staff as public members when they leave the trust. And also there's some analysis there about voting turnout and the implications really of not having a service user and care election for 3 years and not giving that ability to that membership to have that vote in terms of creating that disengagement. So we then go on to a proposed action within the paper about what we've decided and what we would like the committee to support us on going forward. We're proposing a 3-month amnesty on asking members whether they still want to be members, whether it be through email or through letter communication, whichever is appropriate, and then as a not heard after 3 months, removing them from the membership, but not forgetting that if they wanted to sign up at a later date, they still could, because we thought that was a really important measure to put in. And we are prepared as a team to receive lots of calls to actually keep members on the system. We're not sure how many it will be that will come off. We suspect there'll be quite a lot. But having said that, when we look at all of our disengagement across the membership, I think to start again, to then rebuild, but to carry those with us that are engaged is what we're wanting to do. So we've got there a post-membership database cleanse plan, timetable for that for the committee. And also as an appendix 1, we've attached the letter that we intend to send. For email members, it will be a similar wording as well. So it's for the committee to have that discussion about the paper, have the discussion about what's written in the letter, and give me and the team some feedback on what their thoughts are for approving this as a way forward. And I'm happy to take any questions. I appreciate it's a very important paper.
Yeah, thank you for that, Sam. It's just something that occurred to me just as you were speaking. Is there any mileage with the Better Together magazine so that it will remove an extra cost of postage?
Yes.
And,
Yes. Yeah, good point. Sorry. As part of the paper, that is what we intend to do. So we intend to use
right.
the Better Together magazine send out to do that communication with the letter. Sorry,
Thank
that's
you.
very
That's
thank
fine.
you for
Thank
raising.
you. So we've got Carol Hagan coming. Just a comment from Joe Walker. I'd suggest a simple online form, Sam, to make responding as easy as possible and do a check of details at the same time. And then we'll have Debbie coming in after Carol. So Carol Hagan, please.
Hello, Carol Hagan, Public Governor for North Kesteven. Just reading that letter, it demands a high level of literacy to read that letter. I mean, just looking at the first paragraph, it's an extremely complex sentence. So I just wondered if there was a way of making that letter far more accessible. As an example, you know, in the event that we do not receive a response from you, you could just say, if we do not receive a response from you. I just feel that letter demands a high level of literacy. And I would have thought that a huge part of LPFT's membership might require easier accessibility.
Yeah, thanks, Carol, for that feedback. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, perhaps Carol can actually work with you to actually simplify that.
Well volunteered.
Well, I'd be very happy to, but
or even write up your own version and perhaps send it through, and then Sam could take the best of both worlds.
It's an extremely complex letter, isn't it? I mean, it's very academic and it's not very accessible. So
well,
there needs to be a simpler version.
There's an offer in the chat also from Joe Walker to help with simplifying the letter. So perhaps it could be the three of you. Carol does her version, and then maybe Joe and Sam could get together.
We don't want a working party, do we? But the letter just needs simplifying.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And over to Debbie Abrams, please.
Yes, Debbie Abrams, Public Governor South Kesteven. I forgot to say last time. Just to say that I think it's a really good idea. I'm glad we're looking at this, and I just look forward to hearing how it goes, because it's really worthwhile tackling it.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you. Bringing in Karen Scott, please.
Thanks, Bex. Karen Scott, Trust Secretary. I just wonder, given that there's, and I appreciate and acknowledge the review that's going to take place of the letter, but I wonder if it might be more impactful as well if we include or put your name to it, Bex, and maybe review who it comes from, so we have a joint signatory on behalf of the Trust, given there's lots of reference to the Governor and Membership Officer in the letter. It might be helpful to Sam if it comes from third parties, and I think it might help if it came with some weight from the Lead Governor as well.
More than happy to do that. Yeah, that's fine. So my question to the governors is that we need a decision of the review of membership. If we can have some Ys and Ns in the chat, please, to confirm this, that a decision has been put to the governors. Thank you for that. That's great. So moving on to our next section, involvement activities, and I'd like to invite Linda O'Hara to participate with her participation team activity plan. There's a lot of P's in there.
Yeah, thank you, Bex. Morning, everybody. I'm Linda O'Hara, and I'm the participation lead for the trust. Happy New Year to you all. Just to go through a few highlights of my report. So, Building Together Focus Group have been very busy. They're currently supporting the development of the Havenside ward on the Norton Lee site in Boston, and hopefully some of you might have seen some recent photographs of the progression of the build. I understand it's on track and they're hoping to complete by the end of the year. There are 2 additional site plans visits for the 7th of February and the 28th of March. So if you haven't been and would be interested in going, please just let either Sam or myself know, and we can support you with that. So the Building Together Focus Group have also just recently been shortlisted in the Lincolnshire Care Association co-producing together category for the 2024 Lincolnshire Care Awards, and they will be an event with in March of this year to announce the winners of that category. So fingers crossed for them. Apologies, I'm just recovering from a cold. The group continue to meet monthly and always welcome new members to attend that group and be part of the group. So older people and frailty services are following 2 extensive phases of engagement. A paper seeking approval for consultation will be going to the Health Overview Scrutiny Committee during this month at some point. And the Council of Lived and Learnt Experience. So this is new, and we're pleased to announce that it's actually up and running now, and it brings together the voices from various different patient and carer groups across our services into one forum. The first formal meeting of the council took place on the 13th of November, and that followed the official launch at the council at the Every Voice People Awards on World Mental Health Day back in October. And during the meeting, the Trust's lived experience leads chaired the first meeting, and that was supported by us as a team. And during the meeting, the Director of Nursing and Professions gave a presentation to the council about the role of the Board of Directors, and the Council of Governors as well were mentioned. So the terms of reference for the council were approved by the Quality Committee back in October. And hopefully we're looking to plan a share and learn event during spring of this year to gain a better understanding of the aims and purpose of each of the groups represented at the council, and hopefully to learn from each other. So so the development of that is ongoing. Okay, and I can see I've got a couple of questions. So staff recruitment, we're going to be running another training session so that people can get involved in staff recruitment. So again, if any governors are interested in that and would like to join us for that, you're very welcome. And again, please get in touch with myself or Sam about that.
Can I just come in on that, Linda?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
Just basically selling it to governors. It is so rewarding helping with staff recruitment, because as governors, it's a way of seeing that the real good people are being recruited to work with our patients, so that it can bring about their health improvement, and knowing that you're putting the right people into position, that is so rewarding. I've done it myself quite a few times in the past, and there is a little bit of training that you can do, which gives you a little bit of insight prior to actually doing it for the first time. So, but it's not onerous, and it is such a really good thing to do. So sorry to have interrupted you, Linda, but
No,
I felt I
thank you,
had to
Bex.
mention that.
No, thank you for adding that in. Yes, and what we tend to find, because we do ask for feedback, is that not only do our recruitment managers feel the benefit of having a different perspective, but often it helps our experts by experience to get involved as well, because they're building up their confidences, you know, and they pick up some new skills as well along the way. And we've even had comments from people who've been successful through recruitment to say how refreshing it was actually to have people with lived experience on their interview panel. So and one even commented that actually it was one thing that made their decision easy, because I think it sort of speaks of the trust values, you know, and living those values through having people on those panels. So yeah, no, thank you for that, Bex. So just to mention a couple more things, urgent care services review. So some of you may have already seen the information. We've got a series of public engagement events that we've started off in December, and we're running through this month. And again, hopefully you will have seen the poster, but there's a few more events taking place towards the end of the month. As you can see from my paper, we also got involved. We don't often get involved in staff engagement, but we supported our staff wellbeing service, and we visited various LPFT sites, and we engaged with our staff to gather feedback on the development of a staff wellbeing service and the pathway into our Lincolnshire Talking Therapies. So that was something that we did, and we enjoyed doing, actually talking to all of our staff. The feedback from that has now gone through to our heads of service and director of operations for community services. And the other thing I wanted to mention is something that we're doing jointly with our ICB and other provider colleagues. So we are supporting a wider system gather feedback on the NHS 10-year plan. And again, hopefully some of you will have already seen this. So the government is currently developing a new 10-year plan to ensure that the NHS is fit for the future. So part of this work, we've been asked to speak with people across Lincolnshire to gather their views, experiences, and ideas, and insights that will hopefully influence both immediate actions and long-term improvement for NHS services. So the focus is actually on 3 shifts, they're calling it, or changes. So they are very quickly moving more care from hospitals into communities, better use of technology, and then the third one is around preventing sickness, not just treating it. So there'll be a range of opportunities through our wider system colleagues for people to either give their views online. There is a survey going around as well, and we're hoping to actually have a one-off event, if you like, so that we can gather some more views face to face from people who prefer to do it in that way. So just to let you know that is taking place at the moment. And I think that's all from me. Thank you very much. If you've got any questions, thank you, Bex.
Do we have any questions or comments for Linda, please?
Oh, thank you, Jo. Jo's put the link to the information around the change and the survey. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Jo. Comment from Carol Hagan, please.
Carol Hagan, Public Governor for the He said the rest of England, still on my mind. Public Governor for North Kesteven. It's so good to see that there's so much going on, and I, you know, across last year, I could see there were more groups coming forward, and I will try to attend more. I just wondered, is it okay to attend groups that I personally or in my family we don't have experience of, but I'm very interested, for example, in psychosis. So would I be able to attend meetings as a governor out of interest rather than participation?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, we welcome all, and certainly there are some specific groups. I'm thinking about adult eating disorders, for example, where the service leads tend to want people who've got those lived experiences. But there are other groups that you know you'd be more than welcome to attend. Building Together focus group is one that springs to mind. If you're we have got the early intervention in psychosis group as well. That might be something you might be interested in just coming along to hear what people are saying as well. Might be of interest to you, so we can certainly get that toward, you know, we'll get that information out to you when those groups are happening, if that's something, Carol, you'd like to.
Yes, I'd like to. I do try to attend the older people and frailty services. I've been to one of your events at North Hykeham. I think that's very successful venue, isn't it? Looking at your figures there, one of your meetings you've held there, you've actually had 19 people come along to that meeting. So, you know, I know that's very successful, and I've tried to dip into those. But I think, you know, I would like to dip into some more meetings and cover some more areas. So I'll try to do that next year. This year.
Certainly we'll make sure that we share the dates with you. And I think it's just interesting. I think you hear it from all different perspectives, you know, whether it's from the service leads talking about their you know, their service, whether it's from carers, whether it's from people with lived experience. I think it's just interesting as well to hear those views firsthand. So yes, I will get that across to Sam. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol, for that, and thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
A comment from Debbie. Thank you, Linda. And a comment from Karen Scott: would always encourage governors' attendance at any of these events. Getting involved and going to some of these events, i.e. online or face-to-face, is good. It gives you a better insight to be able to perform your duties as the governor. So I would always encourage people to get involved. I myself did this from the day one of 2020 when I started. Obviously things were very different back then, but it is really helpful to get to know people in their different opportunities and their different roles, because it helps you understand the trust that little bit better. So moving forward, is Sam still with us? Because we're moving on to the government involvement opportunities. Oh, thank you, Sam.
I'm still here, Bex.
Our forward plan of activities.
Thanks, Bex. So actually follows really well from that previous conversation in terms of the forward plan of activities. So this is to provide the governors an overview of future meetings, events and opportunities in the next quarter, and they're asked to receive the report. So it lists anything that at that time in the next quarter we are actually going to be carrying out. it's colour coded. But what I will say is that there is always things adding to this all the time, and through the Governor's Fortnightly you will hear about everything that's happening. So we've got a really good connection with Linda in the involvement and participation team. So Sarah will often contact me and let me know of all the opportunities that can be included on the Fortnightly. So you will get to hear about them, and you can put your name forward. So we are linked in that respect, and also linking to our comms team as well that can provide us with information about what's happening. So unless you've got any questions, I'm happy to just take that report as read, really.
Any questions for Sam with regards to that? I take that as a no. So we'll move on to the next item, the iLog.
Thank you,
Over
Beck.
to you, Sam.
Thank you. So the next report is the iLog report, and it provides all the submissions received between the 27th of September and the 20th of December 2024. The governors are asked to receive the report. The actual iLog report itself would set out the date in which the iLog was received, who it came from, whether it was from a member or from a governor, what the detail of it was, and then the outcome in which we went with that particular idea or issue, innovation. We have completed all of our iLogs at the moment, and it is part of the disengagement review of membership. As we know with the iLog, the more engaged a membership is, the more iLogs we will receive. So it is in review, and it is due to be reviewed at the next Governor Development Day. And hopefully when we take our plans forward for the membership re-engagement, we will see a nice, healthy set of conversations that members are having with their governors.
Yes, it would be good to see more iLogs, because it means there is more engagement with our membership and the rest of the public, and that is solely a really good part of what we do as governors. And by doing that, we, as I said earlier, with regard to being involved with interviews of staff, we're getting involved and we're helping make LPFT a better place by doing so. So keep those flooding in, and let's keep Sam very busy. Thank you for that, Sam, and thank you for all your input today. Moving on to our last item, our activity plan, item 6, the Council of Governors agenda. Asking Karen Scott to speak to that, please.
Thank you, Bex. Karen Scott, Trust Secretary. I don't have anything specific to highlight on the draft agenda presented this morning, other than to say that it has been pulled from the Council of Governors forward agenda and includes all of those items, standing items, which we would anticipate reporting on at the January meeting. I can confirm that the to be confirmed text in the lead for the annual external audit plan, that is our external audit provider, which is Mazars. I think it's just more about the member of their team, their representative, who will be presenting it on the day, but it will be taking place. Other than that, I don't have anything else to add, but more than happy to answer any questions if there are any. Bex, thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Karen. Do we have any questions, comments with regard to our Council of Governors forward agenda for Thursday, the 23rd of January 2025 at 4 p.m?
None from me.
Thank you. We've already done item 6.2, the Better Together, because Joe Walker had to get off for another meeting. I would like to invite, I take it, Sam, we've not received any other business items
No, we've not
whether
received any.
no, whether anybody has any other business items that they would like to bring up at this time before I close the meeting. I will take that as a no. Thank you very much from me and the staff team for your participation this morning. I wish you well in this cold weather and hope that the snow's not too deep for you, and look forward to seeing as many of you as possible at the Council of Governors meeting on the 23rd.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Bex.
and that gives you a little bit more time back into your day.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Bex. Bye, everyone.
Bex.
See you soon.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bex.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Bex.
Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.